You're listening to the Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CIPFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the podcast section of the Public Finance website. Hello, I'm John Watkins, Group Editor of Public Finance, and I'm your host for this PF Live podcast. This episode is titled Smarter, Safer, AI that works for local government, and we'll explore how, as AI increasingly shapes local government, you can ensure you are using it safely. The episode is sponsored by TechnologyOne, and we'll see us explore how you can deploy agentic AI within a secure, pre-configured local government environment where governance, data quality, and control come first. To help me do that, I'm pleased to say that I am joined by TechnologyOne's local government industry lead, Emma Foy, who will share examples, challenges, and how councils can adopt AI confidently while protecting services, data, and public trust. Emma, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
No, good to have you. This isn't your first Public Finance Live, and it's the second day of Public Finance Live 2026. So how are you finding it so far? What have you enjoyed?
So this, for many years, has been my most favourite event of the year. So I think I started coming to Public Finance Live in about 2007, when I was a local government auditor. Then I came as a 151, and now I poach the term gamekeeper, coming as an exhibitor and a supplier. So yeah, definitely TechnologyOne's favourite event of the year. We have such positive conversations. It enables us to talk to 151 officers, to students that are inspired by what they've heard, to other suppliers. So yeah, really good quality conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear that a lot. AI is a massive talking point across all sectors right now. Its growing role in the public sector is certainly reflected in the programme of this year's conference. Are you pleased to see so much AI-related content on the agenda this year?
Definitely. I think a lot of us have been crying out for some support around governance, around example policies, and working with CIPFA on an AI roundtable in September that we'll be doing as well. This year, we were really lucky to be the sponsors for the MJ Awards of the AI and Digital Innovation Award. And we saw about 25 entries from different local authorities, all using AI to absolutely transform their services. So yes, definitely much needed.
Yeah, and look, let's elaborate on that sort of demand for AI in the market a little bit. I mentioned in the introduction, AI is becoming an integral part of the public sector. You said there's demand for some guidance and some help with approaches to adopting AI. Tell us what you're seeing out there on the ground. What's the appetite really like for adopting AI into public sector organisations, and how are they doing with it?
So in our 20 plus entries that we got for the MJ Awards this year, you had a real combination of authorities quite early in their journey using products like Beam's Magic Notes to transcribe case notes, using Copilot where they can, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you had our winners, which were East Riding Council, who are using AI to determine when and when not they use street lighting.
Wow.
So street lighting on main roads determined by traffic safety, volumes, etc., and having not only a brilliant impact on road safety, but also a great impact on climate change as well. So from one spectrum to the other, you've also got authorities like Derby who are using agentic AI through their Darcy, where residents can ask Darcy to answer any question and engage for services accordingly. Something they were one of our highly commended. And then we also had St Helens. Now, St Helens, they again, agentic AI using Helen, asking Helen, but St Helens had done it differently. They'd done it on a really low budget, and they had used really simple AI to enhance people's living. things like using digital pets to check in on residents, things like checking residents' temperatures to highlight whether perhaps somebody living alone had taken their tablets or had a human reinfection. So really using AI now to prevent spend and to manage demand.
Yeah, there's some brilliant real world examples and case studies there of public sector bodies that are using it for real good and better outcomes, as well as, cost savings and efficiencies around labor and time constraints. And lots a lot is often mentioned also of the perceived risks around AI. And we mentioned in the intro there the challenges and concerns for public sector organizations, given the sector's huge focus on governance, data quality, and control. So tell us how important it is for public sector organizations to put those things at the heart of their AI usage.
So I always see AI as a people pleaser. Unless checks and balances and a human is in the loop, it will fill in the gaps of what you don't tell it.
Mm-hmm.
The famous ChatGPT, where you say to ChatGPT, how many R's are in a strawberry? And it will tell you the wrong number. And it will tell you that there are only 2 when there are 3. And that's something really, really basic. We wouldn't produce a statement of accounts as public sector accountants without doing control account reconciliations. And AI is exactly the same. We don't produce the final outcome without making sure we've checked it, without looking at the bias, and really about understanding that sometimes AI doesn't have boundaries. And it is that people pleaser, which will say yes to everything. And we know, resilience and working in local government for so many years, we know that that's not sustainable.
Yeah, and it's about supporting individuals to make better decisions rather than making those decisions for them in the wrong way, right?
Yeah, and freeing up those people so that they can spend the time on those critical estimates and judgments where we need them to. That's really important. Transactional tasks, they can be done by AI. Huge volume tasks, basic, more basic work, but where critical estimations and judgments, we need those people and they need the time to be able to consider those things properly.
Yeah, absolutely. A two-part question, if you don't mind. First of all, tell us a bit about your approach to helping public sector organizations adopt AI. I guess, what makes you guys different and what is it about your approach that works? But second part to that question, you focus very much on agentic AI. So for our listeners, just a bit of an explanation around what you mean by agentic AI compared to perhaps the AI that they see in their everyday use.
So this concept that you are asking somebody a question in natural language, in your natural language, and it comes back in an answer as if it was someone sitting there telling you. And that's the way that I describe it. I don't necessarily like using the phrase agents, and people
Yeah,
talk
it's got a
about
bit of a connotation,
setting
right?
up
Yeah.
agents everywhere. And
Yeah.
but this idea for me, it's around asking a question. And if we think about our residents, when we ask them to complete a complex local authority form with loads of boxes, loads of challenges, this idea that AI can turn that into a series and break it up into a series of natural language questions, there is great benefit to be gained from it.
And the first part of that question, I want you to miss your opportunity to tell us about
Absolutely.
TechnologyOne.
So to talk about what we've been doing for the last 7 years. So about a year ago, we launched Plus, which is our in-product AI. And Plus stands for Predict, Learn, Uncover, and Simplicity. And it's really about surfacing those key insights that are already in your safe ERP framework, rather than taking a load of confidential information out of your software, putting it into ChatGPT and asking it to create a report. And I think, that is my biggest concern and bugbear, because I worry about the number of data breaches the public sector has by use of products like ChatGPT or Claude that are out there and are not necessarily safe. But the idea of Plus is it sits within the guardrails of your safe, cyber secure ERP software.
Brilliant. I'll come back to the sort of governance and data control in a moment, if you don't mind. But just talk to us a little bit about the benefits that organisations can reap from adopting AI similar or through a system like your own. How can it help those sort of really traditional public sector challenges that we know exist and are ongoing challenges, budget assessments, predictive planning, speed, efficiency of processes, visualization, cost reduction, all those things that we hear every year at Public Finance Live?
So there's two elements. Firstly, I look at that gaining insights from the data that you already have, the data that is of good quality, and getting insights from that. So that's the first piece. That's your internal, external reporting, KPIs, and managing transactional work, which doesn't need those critical estimations and judgments. On the other hand, there is also how we communicate with the resident. And that is the piece which is coming now. We have a product called Guide. I know there are other products out there, but this idea, this notion that your residents can have an individualized journey and conversation with the local authority, manage their services in their own way, in their own time, at a reduced cost, but then that can also be used to prevent demand and to be able to predict demand, which then frees up resource. And we know that some of our most challenging areas around adult social care, around children's and education, this is where we are seeing some of the most impressive elements of AI. Again, tracking back to those awards. The Newcastle application was around predicting student absence in secondary school by using pupil absence data gained at primary school. Absolutely fantastic. It's a pilot at the moment, but absolutely fantastic. The authorities where there are huge backlogs in EHCPs, and they have managed to automate that process and simplify it to those completing them. Again, absolutely fantastic. And that enables us to put the resource where we need to.
We talked about the importance of governance, data quality and control. Obviously, hugely important for public sector organisations. When you talk, I want to come back to when you were talking about ring fencing it within your ERP data and information. That's the key to ensuring that governance, data quality and control for you. Is it making sure that you're only drawing on data and insights that within those boundaries and not allowing it to go and interpret data and information from the outside?
So it's interpreting the actual data which is in the software. Absolutely, you're not going on the outside. But also this piece around bias, which we have, dare I say it, hard-coded in. This piece around if the AI can't answer the question, it tells you I can't answer the question, rather than trying to fill in the gaps itself and giving you the wrong answer.
Yeah, that's really important. Implementation is often another question that comes up with AI, and skills and capabilities within the organization to ensure that you're in a position to implement it. How do local public sector organizations begin using it? What skills do they need in the organization? And how do they go about obtaining those if they feel like they don't have them?
So for me, we haven't got to the point yet where we're seeing different job descriptions, where we're seeing different personal requirements in job specs. But for me, what is most useful, two things. One, to have an inquiring mind. And the other thing is really about those checks and balances. Right now, if we were writing a financial report we would read it, we would check it, we would get somebody else to review it, we'd get somebody to agree the numbers in the report back to the system. Yet we've got people now that are handing that to AI and aren't doing any of those human in the loop checks. So it's about balancing that inquiring mind so that you're able to prompt AI to give you the highest quality response, but also really maintaining those internal controls and checks and balances.
Yeah, they're essential. That's all really fascinating stuff. It's clear that AI is now well in the mainstream. You've referred to a couple of real-world case studies already. Is there one that really stands out for you as a brilliant example of where AI can really simply add value with a positive outcome for local authorities? Which is your favourite?
So for me, I'll refer back to the St Helens case because St Helens wasn't or hasn't been a huge budget AI delivery. Derby with Darcy, I think was a 6 million contract over 4 or 5 years. St Helens had nowhere near that money. It was about using simple things, internal staff to develop it, testing it with service users, and was a really positive story in a world where local authorities do not necessarily have millions of pounds to transform services overnight. So I think, in terms of looking at those individual outcomes for individual residents, St Helens is a very positive story.
Big impact with a smaller budget. And where do you see AI going from here? We've seen this really rapid rise of AI in such a short space of time. Where do you see it going from here, particularly in terms of its value to public sector organisations?
So the next thing for me is all around the local authority communicating with the customer managing their own services, and that idea of just simplifying the complexity which sits in local government at the moment. I mean, residents, they wake up, they've got a problem, they need a simple answer to a simple problem, and they need to be able to work their way through those steps in whatever language they need. If they need to do it verbally, if they need to, if they can do it in written, they can do it in different language, in natural language. And that is absolutely key and crucial because people want to be able to get council services, like they can order a takeaway or check their bank balance, and we just haven't got there yet. So, the idea that they're able to do that, but in a way which a local authority can afford. And then there's also the element which does concern me, is that if we are not careful, agentic AI conversations, which are very much needed to deliver everything else, the token cost of those conversations will create another budget pressure. And we need organisations to work with suppliers to be able to manage that. And, we're looking at managing that through advertising revenue, for example. If the local authority is happy for certain advertisements to be used, that will subsidise or pay for the cost of the agentic AI product. But to create another budget pressure like children's or adults in conversation costs is going to set us back, not forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been really fascinating stuff. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So you will see us at TechnologyOne at all the main CITFA events. We run webinars with public finance 3 times a year as well. But otherwise, look me up on LinkedIn, Emma Foy. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You've been listening to an episode of our Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CITFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts.